Hi, my name is Cody. I'll be doing a presentation on the Giving Voice to Values case study for the FDA liability concerns for Professor Christensen's accounting ethics class. In the case study that I reviewed, there are three main characters, Greg and Alex, who happen to be business partners, and they are the inventors of a salad dressing that really becomes popular and takes off. And then Michael, who is later brought in as a CPA to be the CFO of the company. Initially, Greg and Alex experienced a lot of success with their salad dressing, and the business began to do really, really well. And so as they were experiencing this growth, they saw the need to bring somebody in that was more experienced with two things. One, finances, to ensure that their profit margins remained safe and secure, and also that they were preparing against a rainy day, that somebody was setting aside reserves that would be able to cover the cost of growth. And then the second is somebody who's familiar with setting up systems that would ensure that they were in line with procedures and protocols that make sure that their liability remained low in all the situations as they continued to grow. As I read the article, Greg and Alex put a lot of trust into Michael to oversee the growth of the company, and Michael had aspirations of taking the company public at one point. And as they were growing, the FDA would come and do inspections, and these inspections would outline things that need to be corrected and things that need to be addressed so that the company could remain, could continue to produce salad dressing using the foods that they were using. And along the way, the FDA pointed out numerous times minor violations that should be corrected so that they could prevent diseases from becoming a part of their process. Well, these corrections were not made, and at one point the FDA mandated that they recall a batch. Well, Greg and Alex, their position along the way had been to make sure that they maintained a positive reputation, that they had a reputation of having great organic ingredients used in their salad dressing, and that they continued to pursue their dreams of making great tasting salad dressing using the best ingredients. Any company in this industry who starts to do recalls, especially on a regular basis, is going to suffer tremendously. Michael's aspirations were more financial based, to take the company public. So the first question I think that Greg and Alex need to ask, more specifically Alex, is do you do a total recall or do you just recall the batch? And Alex is really pushing to do a total recall. As he made this decision, he approached Michael about it. Michael was very, very resistant, very hesitant, and said flat out that they didn't have the money in reserve to do a total recall, that they could only do a batch recall if they were going to remain profitable. This put Greg and Alex into a really interesting situation. I think the second thing that Greg and Alex are really trying to look at is, should they take the company public? Does that fit with their goals or not? And then the third thing is Michael a good fit for the company? As they were looking at this, I think the first thing, and they need to identify their core values. They really need to look at what is at stake. And so I've got up here reputation. What's on the line is not just their business reputation, but also their personal moral values and their personal reputation. And I think that they need to identify what it is that they want to achieve with their company first. And that will help put the other things in line. The second thing is, I think it's important that they remember what goes around always comes around, and they should not take this decision lightly. With Alex being the one who's faced with the moral dilemma in this situation, I think the best thing that he could do in order to voice his values is first try to align with Greg. He and Greg originally started the business, and they were partnering together. So I think he could remind Greg about the beginning of the company and the purpose of the vision, and help Greg to see where the company would head if they continue to stay off track. The second thing if he's able to align with Greg, is to decide if Michael's really a good fit for the company. Michael has done a number of things that really create some questionable situations for them. I think Alex has some really strong leverage points, and some of those really strong power points that he could consider is if all of the information was made public, where would that leave them? I think he could convince Greg of his perception that if all of the information was made public, that we weren't responsive to the FDA, that we were hiding some of these things, and that we were fine taking the fines and moving on. I think Greg and Alex would both agree that the company is not going to wind up where they want it to be. The last thing that I would suggest for Greg and Alex is not just to think about short-term. Short-term gains are great, but I think they need a long-term strategy. And long-term strategy is, in my opinion, the best approach to take to life, because we can all achieve short-term gains by taking shortcuts, or being dishonest, or just getting immediate results. But if we look at a long-term approach, I think we'll really identify what is truth and what is not, what's truth and lies. Thank you.